start things off, we're seeing globally nations worldwide are depending more and more on the digital economy. What is the picture looking like for Sri Lanka?
If you look at a core digital economy, we're talking about the ICTs or the telecommunications, communication and information technology services and equipment and so on, which is the narrowest definition of a digital economy. At the next tier, if you look at a slightly augmented or expanded definition, it includes pure digital services, platform services, like you take a ride-hailing service or an e-commerce platform. That is the broadest definition and also broadest evidencing of digital, I would say, invasion or digital penetration into an economy. Sri Lanka is today at around 3%, meaning the size of the digital economy was relative to the total economy. And the aspiration of the government of Sri Lanka and this whole digital economy acceleration effort is to take that 3% to something like 15%. And if you're ambitious and we have the momentum, I think we should be hoping for even higher than that. So the targets are audacious and the target is very, very ambitious. So therefore the challenge in driving a digital economy to a 5x leap in 5 years is not about the technology. Whether it be processes, whether it be organizational practices, tradition versus new. Zeroing in on the SME sector, you're right, it's the backbone of the economy, but it's also the most fragmented in terms of the challenges they face, the opportunities they have, and processes that they need to adopt. The capacity building, as well as change management, as well as digital literacy kind of gap filling, which needs to be done, is much greater in the SME sector. So it's part of the program, and one of the pillars that we are focusing on is broadly termed as capacity building, but it involves this very holistic approach to building literacy, opening minds, and providing the tools and the training on a wide spectrum of citizens and businesses.
Sri Lanka has a lot to gain from its digital economy. We spoke about all of this and more with Dr. Hans Wijayasuriya. Stay tuned.
For 30 years, LMD has been the voice of business in Sri Lanka, capturing the pulse of the nation's corporate landscape through its iconic covers. Each cover tells a story, from the first edition in 1994 to the present day, narrating key moments, leaders and trends that have shaped Sri Lanka's business ecosystem. Over the years, LMD covers have featured thought leaders, business pioneers and game-changing innovations, reflecting the evolution of industries and the economy. As we celebrate 30 years, these covers represent more than just publications. They are a testament to LMD's legacy of excellence in business journalism and its unwavering commitment to being Sri Lanka's leading voice of business. LMD, Sri Lanka's voice of business, a legacy of 30 years.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. The topic of conversation today is the digital economy, and I'm here with Dr. Hans Wijayasuriya, the Chief Advisor to the President on the digital economy. Welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
To start things off, we're seeing globally nations worldwide are depending more and more on the digital economy. What is the picture looking like for Sri Lanka?
So the definition of a digital economy is a good place to start, and actually there are many variants of digital economy definition. But I think if you look at a core digital economy, we're talking about the ICTs or the telecommunications, communication and information technology services and equipment and so on, which is the narrowest definition of a digital economy. At the next tier, if you look at a slightly augmented or expanded definition, it includes pure digital services, platform services, like you take a ride-hailing service or an e-commerce platform. And as economies progress in the direction of digitalization or digital transformation, You move from that very core to the augmented, and then in the broader sense, you begin to see digital technologies and digital raw materials such as knowledge, such as data and other tools, including say cloud services, AI, and IR4 technologies, pervading all industries and services. So that is the broadest definition and also broadest evidencing of digital, I would say, invasion or digital penetration into an economy. So you're very right when you said that worldwide the race for growth depends on the extent of digitalization, because the room to extract more economic growth is very limited in a traditional sense in most economies. And where this growth can come from is through the penetration of the digital economy relative to the total. It also uplifts the growth rate of the economy. And global examples have shown that if you increase your penetration rapidly, you will also get 1 to 3 points of additional GDP growth during that phase of digital advancement.
And when looking at Sri Lanka,
so Sri Lanka is today at around 3%. Meaning the size of the digital economy was relative to the total economy, around $3 billion to 100, that kind of, I'm talking rough numbers. And the aspiration of the government of Sri Lanka and this whole digital economy acceleration effort is to take that 3% to something like 15%. And if you're ambitious and we have the momentum, I think we should be hoping for even higher than that. So the targets are audacious and the target is very, very ambitious. So therefore the challenge. But having said that, this is, I believe, the most potent lever we have to extract growth.
And right now we're seeing that politically we are stable, economically we are getting there, but we're still on a path towards recovery. Against this background, how is that growth from a 3% to 15% going?
Yes, so you're right. I think we have to take that in context. And what do we mean by recovery? In a nutshell, it is that we are operating in a very tight fiscal space. Very, very tight in terms of headroom. And also, when you look at debt or public spending, it's again on a very tight rail. So that's what the whole economic crisis brings to us, and that's what recovery translates from a economic context. So therefore, your room to invest in growth in the traditional sense is fairly limited because your headroom is limited. However, a digital drive, a digitization, penetration of various economic sectors with digital efficiency doesn't involve, relatively speaking, doesn't involve that much investment or burden on the fiscal fiscal space we have. That's where the magic is. So that if you manage to infuse efficiency, infuse reduction in spending on traditional raw materials, even on fuel, on transport, etc., by using digital means and increasing productivity through digital means across a multitude of industries, and approximate to a cashless and presenceless kind of economy, you are extracting growth without investing that much. So the payback in a digital equation is far superior to the payback in a traditional investment.
And when we are accelerating more digital penetration, the SME sector is one of the it is the backbone of the economy, but we are seeing that there is a gap in actually getting through in terms of knowledge, in terms of platforms available maybe. How can we bridge this?
I think it's an excellent point. The challenge in driving a digital economy to a 5x leap in 5 years is not about the technology. I think technology is probably the lowest component in terms of investment out of the everything we need to do, but it's also probably the easiest to technology is not a great problem. You can build systems, you can have facilities and services. It's about the change in mindset of various segments of society, citizens as well as businesses, change in ways of working, adopting new methods, having the curiosity and the will to do things a new way, and also, broadly speaking, change management. Whether it be processes, whether it be organizational practices, tradition versus new, and likewise zeroing in on the SME sector. You're right, it's the backbone of the economy, but it's also the most fragmented. SMEs don't have homogeneous requirements or homogeneous business challenges. They are very fragmented in terms of the challenges they face, the opportunities they have, and the processes that they need to adopt. And the capacity building, as well as change management, as well as digital literacy kind of gap filling, which needs to be done, is much greater in the SME sector. So it's part of the program, and one of the pillars that we are focusing on is broadly termed as capacity building, but it involves this very holistic approach to building literacy, opening minds, and providing the tools and the training on a wide spectrum of citizens and businesses.
I want to talk more about the capacity part of it, but if we look at the technology aspect, like you said, it's probably the easiest ingredient. Looking at the platforms available and the tools, I mean, we have everything from AI to cloud computing to everything. What would you say would be a quick win or quick wins for Sri Lanka in terms of getting more penetration in?
So if I were to just very quickly describe the digital economy blueprint and the stack, and thereby talk a little bit about our strengths and our weaknesses. The lowest layer of the stack is the physical connectivity. So the telco networks, the fiber networks, the wireless networks. And here we have traditionally been ahead of the curve in the region. We are a bit behind now that we haven't launched 5G yet on the wireless side, but we have strong fiber infrastructure, at least at the backbone level. More work needs to be done to take fiber to the home across the country, or fiber to the school, or fiber to the hospital, etc. So there's some work to be done, but broadly speaking, I think we have a strong foundation, and very importantly, we also have a strong business model there, which is evidenced by the fact that the government has really not invested anything in the telco sector since around 1996, 1997. It's 25 years plus. It's a private sector led model with very progressive regulation from the government and consistent regulation over these 25 plus years, and also very fertile foreign investment in climate. So I think there are gaps to fill, but this is we have a strong foundation, which is a good starting point. At the next layer, you get the various digital infrastructures like cloud and storage, computing, and here there is some work to be done. And again, one of the key pillars is working on the digital infrastructure to get a strong government cloud, to create a fertile environment for public-private partnership, to attract the majors globally to invest in Sri Lanka, to establish cloud infrastructure, which would then be the combination of connectivity and computing and storage, then provides the platform for what we know as digital public infrastructure, DPIs. You would have heard a bit about this. There are many forums going on.
Of course, talking about a lot of...
And these are not physical infrastructures, they are soft infrastructure, such as, for example, the digital ID will be one of the key, key DPIs, or digital public infrastructures. The National Data Exchange, which would facilitate data to be moved across government and between government and
Private,
citizens and government and business with a consent-driven mechanism which is in the tech itself. And we have other important components of DPI such as the payment systems,
Right, yes.
such as authentication systems, digital signatures and so on.
Yeah.
So these are all digital public infrastructures. Out of these, the payment systems are very key. You asked me to begin with, what are those
Quick wins.
quick
yes.
wins? And why I would circle this as a quick win is that it already exists.
Right, yes.
Just like the telco backbone,
Yes.
the payment infrastructure already exists. It's of a very high standard, and I think we have to credit central bank and the and Lanka Pay and other stakeholders, banks and fintechs, etc., for establishing this infrastructure to a very advanced level. But there's an adoption
Exactly.
gap,
Yes.
a usage gap, if one were to call it that, and that's a problem that needs to be solved through change management,
Yes.
through optimization, and again, examination of the full value chain. So the quick win wise, I think moving Sri Lanka's digital payments, digital lending, digital transacting
Yes.
through a quantum leap
Right.
is something we should focus on, because the hard work has been
Already done. Yes.
Likewise, I think taking broadband to a much more universal and inclusive level
Yeah.
through wireless and
Fiber.
wired
Yes.
fiber infrastructure is again something which you could be talking
the short term.
short term, sort of the 1 year kind of
Yes.
term. The rest, like the digital ID, national data exchange, these DPIs, will come into play over the next, I would say, 1 to 2 years.
Yes.
And then, if in combination, you would have a very strong ecosystem and a platform which could provide API level access to our developer community,
Right.
which is a huge resource we have.
Yeah.
We have a lot of skills, a lot of capability, and if they have access to all these
Yeah.
new and traditional infrastructures,
Yes.
I believe that Sri Lankan innovation and agility will result in the service layer across industries, across services, both private and public sector, would advance very rapidly.
Right.
People will do it themselves.
Of course.
And that's what we really need to do,
Yeah.
because it's not about one company or an agency in government or any individuals. All the government really can do is to create an enabling environment, opening out the business model so that private capital can be attracted, and providing the linkages between infrastructure and end users, so that innovation can happen in the middle.
It's time now to take a very short break, but we'll soon be back to talk more about the digital economy.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
Welcome back to the show. We're in conversation with Dr. Hans Wijayasuriya, the Chief Advisor to the President on the digital economy. You said that we have a very good pool of talent in terms of ICT and in terms of development and program software, but is it enough for what is needed?
Let me answer it this way. There's a captive requirement to participate in this digital drive.
Yeah.
And there are some obstacles to that as well, which I'll come to. But if I was to just take the problems or challenges that government and private sector have today in terms of digitization and talent pool on the whole, I think they are agile enough to go with advanced technologies to meet this demand.
Wow.
But we have a parallel target of moving the digital industry or digital exports from where it is today at around 1.8 to 5 billion.
Okay.
So again, it's a kind of tripling.
Yes.
Digital economy going by 5x, but tripling of. So that means you need the capacity not only to support the domestic challenge or the domestic opportunity, it's also to drive this digital export industry. Now that would mean that there has to be at a minimum a doubling of the talent base. If we focus on capacity building, which we are already, and if the private sector also sees a business model in developing talent, it can't be done just by the government.
Of course.
And also if we recognize the fact that the skills required are evolving, and we need to have kind of an agile model of education as well, because on the time scale of capacity development, if you take it in the context of a graduate, and you're talking 4 years to
It'll
market,
be outdated.
one thing, it's now meaningless. What you other than the fundamentals. Also, you're postponing that productivity date of that resource by 4 years. So I think looking at education, tech education in particular, or even education in the humanities or other areas, combining it with some degree of, for example, AI-driven capabilities or some degree of coding or no-code engagement in this infrastructure development or software development. I believe that shorter run capacity development, as well as combining employability and tertiary education, spreading that and creating a mix would probably deliver results much faster. And also maybe more employable resources, because they would not only be studying, but they'll be also contributing to the economy. I believe a lot of budding graduates actually do that today, but they're probably working for overseas companies on the net. So I'm sure it's happening, and it's good. It's bringing foreign exchange into the country, but formalizing that so that you can create careers which are both delivering employability as well as academic qualifications.
Dr. Wijayasuriya, there is a lot of good things happening in terms of the talent front, in terms of the skills. But what are the challenges and the obstacles that you see in maintaining, retaining the talent, as well as making sure that it's contributing towards the economy?
So if you start with the talent, and there are underlying other causes as well. Talent, we must recognize that when we are in a digital world, entering the digital economy, we are entering a regional, if not global space. We can no longer benefit from the advantage of being an island, where someone has to swim to exit or get out of the country or get a visa or whatever. But once you enter the digital race, you're competing globally for resources and therefore for retention of your own resources. That's the reason it's very essential to develop the digital economy very fast, to create the opportunities so that we can hold our talent well remunerated and with good mix of career and academic advancement or skills advancement, and at the same time even be in a position to attract talent from outside on specialist areas or any area where deficit in the short term. Because end of the day, what we need to do is to get established as a recognized global leader in digital transformation, in digital products, in digital IP. And if we need to fill a few gaps from overseas, we have to do that, and then over time develop our own talent as well. So we have to be, I think, very open, because we are competing globally. There is no trophy for losing business while trying to retain talent without
it has to be a global kind of exchange as well, right?
So where I mean, that's at the talent level, but I was describing this blueprint previously, and you spoke of strengths and things that are going well. I think that's very true also of certain verticals in the economy.
Right.
Specific processes, you take the passport, for instance, or the pensions department. Or there are islands of excellence where digital transformation has been done very well and is delivering a good experience to the citizen.
Right.
However, what is not working properly or has not been focused upon, I feel, is the interoperability of these systems, and therefore the horizontal layer, where
They're not
these
talking to each other.
systems talk to each other, and that is why you have the citizen or even a business has to face the experience of going to multiple points of contact, even if it's online. You cannot rely on a seamless interoperability. So that's broadly the weakness we have. But in terms of individual systems, I would say they are pretty good. Much to do, but we can be very proud of what Sri Lanka has
As in the banking sector, there is some level of interoperability.
Exactly. I think when the payment systems, I already mentioned that they are very strong, and when I said strong, they are not siloed between banks, between various stakeholders in the financial services industry. It's strong end to end. But if we can replicate that same strength in a full economy perspective, we'll have a much more coordinated and much more consistent experience to the citizen. Now, going to the softer side, I think the level of focus we have on citizen experience or business experience or ease of doing business needs to be elevated. I think it's deficit today. It's not a key measure of an institution's head, especially in the public sector, where the citizen's experience is in the top 5 KPIs. So this kind of change of mindset, change of performance management, I think also has to come in. So I think there is a holistic transformation which needs to accompany digital transformation.
Dr. Wijayasuriya, it's been such an insightful conversation. I want to finish off with what you said in previous answers, the mindset change. Like you said, there's a lot of work for the government and maybe the providers of tech to do, but there's also a big part to be played by the citizens, by the public, the stakeholders. Where can we start? I mean, like you said, there is a gap in adoption.
So if we look at the positives again, ride-hailing, for instance, has been adopted very well. I think the drivers as well as the passengers have learned a new way of
Getting
dealing with each other.
Yeah.
So I have, even based on my 19 years as CEO of Dialogue previously, I have had and have immense faith in the Sri Lankan citizen, the Sri Lankan micro-entrepreneur, the Mudalali, all the way to the tuk-tuk driver, to the transport providers, to small shops, SMEs, and even the large enterprises, to adopt technology and to use it productively. And that's the reason I have a lot of faith that this can be pulled off. But the technology providers must, I think, focus very much on the experience that technology delivers. Simply building a system without attention to the citizen journey, the optimization of that journey, make it as simple as possible. If it can be done with 2 clicks, why make it 6 clicks? If it can be done with limited, minimized information, do it without asking
all those questions.
Too many questions. So this is the mindset. So I think that's design thinking across government, across the private sector, and certainly among those who are in the game of digitizing is very, very important. It's a design challenge. And if the design is good, I think our people will adopt. And they'll create the business models for more and more innovation. And that is the catalytic momentum that we require.
Perfect. Sounds great. A lot of work to be done, but it sounds optimistic.
Yes, and there are very many Sri Lankans, I think, who are similarly committed and excited. Even if we take, just for example, the ICT today, the entire board consists of volunteer experts, and they come from various areas in technology, but all experts in their own right. We have similar capacity being built up in the ministry and in the broader ecosystem as well. But volunteerism cannot be stretched too far.
Yes, of course.
But it signals that Sri Lankans are determined to do it this time. And I think opening the doors to as many people as possible, creating the platform for innovation, and also motivating all stakeholders to look at a new way, consider it, be curious and be accepting. I think the 5X will be within reach.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've been in conversation with Dr. Hans Wijayasuriya, the Chief Advisor to the President on the Digital Economy. Thank you very much for an insightful conversation.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you to all our viewers for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and X. Thank you for watching and stay safe.